Most people can build up a very sizable retirement or nest egg and by 65 or 70 years old become a millionaire. But if you want to do it much faster, you need to do what I've done and what many of my high net worth clients did early in their life. No matter how old you are or what skills you have, you can do the things that I'm going to talk about in this video and become a millionaire very quickly. Let's get right to it. The first thing that you need to do is decide if you're serious. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There's a reason why most people are not millionaires. It's because it's very tough to do unless you were just born into a very rich family or given the money in some other way. Even people who make multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars per year have trouble saving most of that, and it all comes down to mindset. You're not just going to happen upon $1 million this year. You need to make a pact with yourself right now that you're going to reach this status relentlessly and that you're going to do whatever you need to do to make it happen. When I was 14 or 15 years old, my dad asked me what I was interested in doing for a career or possibly studying in college. And I told him something possibly in business, probably entrepreneurship, maybe even finance because I really liked math and numbers at that point. He got me a couple of books like Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, How to Swim with Sharks Without Being Eaten Alive by Harvey Mackay, and The Millionaire Next Door by Thomas Stanley. Specifically, that last one is all about the traits and routines of wealthy people and makes the case that wealth is more likely the outcome of prudent spending and saving habits than high income or inherited wealth. And the first two books taught me more on business principles and understanding the difference between an asset versus a liability. All three of these books gave me the pillars to be able to start building out the framework for how to get rich much faster than most. But none of the things that I learned in those books or that you're going to learn watching videos or reading blogs matters if you don't actually start to make some real changes, put it into action, and do whatever is necessary to get you to your goal. You can't kind of do this, you need to go all in. So once you've decided to fully take the plunge and leave excuses at the door, now you can get started for real. The big mistake that a lot of people do here is they think that to become a millionaire, the only thing that you need to do, or the most important even thing to do, is to figure out what to invest in. While that's a big part of it eventually, that's not what's going to get you there today. I'm going to go over exactly what to invest in later in this video, but you need to understand that this is not your biggest problem right now. The average salary in the United States is around $55,000 to $65,000 per year. Obviously, it's higher in some states and lower in some states based off of cost of living. And then this annual study found that 59% of Americans in 2025 don't have enough savings to cover an unexpected $1,000 emergency expense. This means that most people are not able to save much, if any, of their paycheck. And so if savings is close to nothing, investing is probably nothing. Who cares if you found the absolute best ETF in the entire world and it gets you something like a crazy 20% appreciation? Let's say you have $1,000 to invest, 20% of that is $200. So for the year you made $200. That's not getting you to millionaire status anytime soon. The way that you will start and get that ETF to actually work for you is if you can consistently add to it. Now, 20% appreciation is absolutely crazy for any period of time. There are some ETFs that have done that for a year or two, maybe even 3 in a row, but usually something above 15% is kind of crazy. QQQ is one of the best and most consistently solid growth ETFs out there. And since 1985, the NASDAQ 100 has produced an annualized return of 14.07%, not including dividends. So let me show you what I mean, and then I think that you're going to be more on board with what I'm trying to say right here. $100 per month invested into something like QQQ that gets an insane 14% per year for 30 years would get you to $428,144. Not too shabby from just investing $100 per month. So let's say you find a way to find an extra $900 per month though. Yes, I know that's a lot of money to a lot of people, but just stick with me. At $1,000 per month invested into QQQ or something that would appreciate at 14% on average for 30 years, that would end up being $4,281,442. Both of those got that insane 14% per year for 30 years. but one obviously grew much, much more into life-changing amounts. Because while compound interest is your best friend, the way to make compound interest actually work the best for you is to get more capital into the actual fund. In order for compound interest to do its thing, you need two things. Number one is time, so you need to start right now. But number two is equally important, and that's capital. So right about now is when you need to start shutting off those excuses. Don't be that person down in my comment section saying, oh, $1,000? Great, just give me $1,000 and then I'll start investing it. No, that's just taking the easy way out and giving up. Be the person that says, okay, how will I be able to get to $1,000 invested per month? As of right now, I can invest $100. How can I find an extra $900 each and every month? This was me. I knew all about investing and had all the academic background in investing and through my MBA and PhD, but I didn't quite make enough money yet, or wasn't saving enough and just needed to get to a point where I could invest more and take everything that I knew and actually put it into practice. If I wanted to be a millionaire this year and was starting from scratch, I'd shut off the excuses, I'd make myself the goal, I'd figure out what exactly to invest in, which I'll talk about in a second, and then I'd put a plan in motion to figure out how I could have an extra couple $100s to invest each month. The answer doesn't need to be anything big right away. If you have $100 right now to invest each month, from our example from before, that would turn into $428,144 in 30 years. Let's say you go out and you do a couple side jobs here and there. You wash some windows, or you do some lawn work, or you do some consulting, and now you add an extra $50 per week. Do you think that you could find $50 per week? If so, now you'd have about $300 per month to invest. $300 per month invested into QQQ, or something that would appreciate at 14% on average for 30 years, would end up being $1,284,432. Look at that, an extra $50 per week consistently invested gets you over that $1 million mark. And if your brain works like mine does, if you can find an extra $200 to make it $300 and it turned into over $1 million, how can I make that into an extra $1,000 per month? Or how can I find an extra $2,000 per month? How much would that turn into down the road? The ways that you're going to be able to find more of that money is likely not going to be at your W-2 job. But maybe it is. Maybe at your job you have the option to do overtime whenever you'd like. And so maybe it'd be a smart move for you to take one extra overtime shift per week and throw all of that money into investing. That's going to move the financial needle so much in your life. For most though, it's not going to come from your 9 to 5. It's going to come from your 5 to 9. What I mean by that is, what can you do either before work or after work to make some extra money? For me, I've never had just one job. One thing that I learned very, very early was that I never wanted to have any one company or any one person really to have any control over my life. Even if you work a very solid, sustainable corporate job for 20 years, if that job or that company has 4 consecutive bad quarters and they have to start cutting things, usually wages is one of their biggest expense, and so they have to do a layoff of 10, 15, 20% of their entire workforce, and maybe you get caught up in that. This has happened to thousands of people last year and this year already. The way to protect yourself is to get out ahead of that and have multiple streams of income. At any one time, I usually have at least 5 going. Right now, I have probably closer to 10. If any one of those were to dry up, I'd be sad, but not too sad. I have 9 other ones. And no type or source of income is too small. So what type could you add right now today? Drive Uber for 1 hour per day, babysit, consult on something that you know better than most people, personal train someone if you like working out, build someone a website if you're good online, start a YouTube channel or TikTok or Instagram. Nowadays is the easiest time in history to do these side gigs, so you don't have an excuse. So now you've decided to shut out the excuses, you're finding a way to bring in more money, and now you need to know how to invest it. First and foremost, make sure that you've paid off any big debt, anything that's above 6% interest rate, any type of consumer debt that isn't a mortgage. I would highly recommend that that's what you pay down first. Especially right now with the market kind of down, anything you put it in is probably going to lose for a little while. And so if you're automatically having to pay a 7, 8, 10% interest at this point, if you pay that off, it's like you're getting paid that 10% interest guaranteed. After that, make sure and have at least 1 month of living expenses in a high yield savings account. I would suggest having at least up to 3 months worth for ultimate safety. If you have both of those things done, good, now you're ready to actually start investing. I'd highly recommend maxing out a Roth IRA first and foremost, which would be $7,000 per year for anyone under 50 years old, and then $8,000 per year if you're 50 or older. Next would be adding to a taxable brokerage. You don't get any tax breaks or anything for investing in this taxable brokerage, but what you do get is liquidity. Because if you're investing in a Roth IRA or 401k only, you don't get to touch that money or the growth of that money until 59 and a half. So with this taxable account, while you don't get any tax benefits up front or later on, at any point you could take it out of that account and not have to pay any type of fee or penalty. You're just going to pay taxes on the gain. You need both of these accounts, so I'd be investing in both no matter what age you are, but I'd prioritize the Roth IRA due to the tax savings you'll have in retirement. Now, exactly what to invest in within these accounts. Actually, first, what not to invest in. Whatever your boy Chad told you to invest in.
Come on. Nice. 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 Hey, green means good, right?
Or Nvidia, because everyone says it's the biggest growing company and semiconductors are cool. Seriously, most people invest in a certain company only because they like them, or they know them, or last year they went up, so I'm just going to invest in them now so that they go up again. Those are all quick ways to lose money. I can't tell you how many of my clients had 20 to 30% of their money in Nvidia and Tesla late last year, and to each one of them I told them please get out of this and into my recommendations. They couldn't fathom a world where Nvidia or Tesla doesn't just go up infinitely. And then 2025 happened and both lost 40 to 50% of their value quickly. Some of my multimillionaire clients lost 7 figures within 2 weeks. I don't want that for you. I'm not saying that any one of those individual stocks is bad. I'm saying individual stock picking is hard and almost no one can do it right. Even professional stock traders lose to a basic index fund like the S&P 500 in any 5 to 10 year period. So what should you invest in? First, you should always do your own research. I made this channel to show that investing does not need to be complicated. It can actually be very, very simple. And you can absolutely do it on your own. I hope that you use my videos as a starting point for your research. I'd always recommend a diversified approach where you have many different sectors represented and differing risk levels as well. The higher your risk, the higher your possible reward, but you don't want that risk too high overall. You want some fun companies like Nvidia and Microsoft and Palantir, but you also want some Procter & Gamble or Walmart or American Express for safety and sustainability long term. The best way to do this is through index funds or mutual funds that are passive and ETFs. Certain ETFs invest in the safer companies and then certain ETFs invest in the riskier high growth companies. At the very basic, I recommend one safer ETF, one riskier ETF, and then one that's just the market average with a proven track record. The S&P 500 is a combination of the United States' biggest 500 companies and represents companies from 11 different sectors. So by buying just one ETF, you're getting a small piece of 500 great companies. My favorite ETF that tracks the S&P 500 is VOO from Vanguard, but SPLG is also a great one too. Now, as far as that super simple but highly lucrative 3-fund portfolio that I keep talking about, this video right here goes over not only what each one of those funds are, but also the exact percentage you should do based on your age, because it does change based off your age, and how to change it as you get older. Watch that one or this one here to keep you going strong in your investing and keep investing simplified.